I know. The following doesn't sound like a productivity hack, but trust me, it is. Having clear priorities helps us place our efforts intelligently. Have you ever sat down to answer a bunch of emails and then found a software update email in one of them? Of course, you don't want to forget that update for the critical piece of software, so you click the link. But then you have to close all your windows, update another piece of software that the first update requires. Well, then you have to back up your files, of course, and before you know it, 30 minutes of time that should have gone to your important emails is gone. Setting priorities helps us be responsible and accountable to ourselves. But not all goals and priorities are created equal. In fact, there's a theory around what criteria each goal, priority, or task should incorporate. This methodology is called SMART, and it's originally a methodology managers use to get better performance from their employees. However, it's just as relevant for helping us manage ourselves. SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, assignable, realistic, time-related. If we're using this for ourselves and not for employees, we can actually convert the A from assignable to ambitious or actionable, depending on the goal. The rest of the acronym is pretty self-explanatory, and I don't want to waste your time with the precious details of what each one really means or the alternate definitions. For that, I've linked you to the Wikipedia article where you can read all about it if you want. Instead, I'll demonstrate by giving you an example of a lousy priority or goal and an example of a smart one. So right now, I'm working on learning Russian. I've set myself a goal to learn Russian, and I've made it a priority in my life. But if I say improve Russian skills, it's pretty hard to measure or to know if I've accomplished that goal. How much is enough? By when? What does improvement really mean? Does it mean repeating the same sentences with better pronunciation? Or does it maybe mean being able to recite Pushkin? Instead, I've written down the goal as follows. By December 31st, I will be able to hold at least a 5-minute conversation about common, everyday topics such as introductions, weather, and personal interests with a native Russian speaker without reverting to English. This goal is specific because I know exactly what topics I'll need to learn about. It's also measurable. If I can only last 4 minutes before resorting to English words, I'll have failed. It's ambitious because Russian is very, very difficult, and right now I can only make it about 1 minute in a conversation without English. It's realistic though, because I was able to acquire that first minute with only 30 or 40 hours of work. And of course, because I have to do it before December 31st, it's time related too. Anyways, setting these clear priorities and goals helps me know where it is best to invest my efforts. I'm not working on improving my professional vocabulary, and I'm avoiding the temptation to improve my Spanish or Hebrew skills because that's not the priority at hand. However, what about managing smaller tasks, priorities, and goals that take hours, not months? Well, it's important to write them down and create accurate to-do lists. One popular book about effective strategies for using and making to-do lists is the Checklist Manifesto, which I'll link in the supplementary materials. Furthermore, I have my own strategy and software stack for task prioritization, which works really well. If you're like me, you have a task management software for work that helps you coordinate with your colleagues, something like Basecamp, Podio, or my personal favorite, Asana. I definitely recommend you use some kind of software or app that lets you input to-dos and set deadlines for them. However, you probably also use some different kind of personal to-do list, whether it's the one that comes on your iPhone or Evernote or something like Wunderlist. Don't worry, I'll provide links to my top recommended ones in the supplementary materials. The thing is, with all these different softwares being used for different purposes, how the heck are you supposed to prioritize tasks when they're all over the place? The task reminding you to pick up your dry cleaning is in a totally different software or website than the task reminding you to update the company website, for example. Well, there's a great app I've discovered called Taco App, which solves this exact problem. It connects to practically every task management software or to-do list out there and imports all of your tasks. It then gives you one clean interface where you can sort your tasks onto the main dashboard and prioritize them across different fields. As you see, I can sort different tasks, whether they're for the startup I work with, the courses I'm working on developing, or my personal to-dos. It also updates the various softwares when you mark something complete and sends you a daily punch list every morning so you don't get distracted by a long, scary sidebar of tasks. Personally, I love that I can ask Siri or OK Google, remind me to pick up my dry cleaning tomorrow at noon, and that ends up alongside my tasks for work, allowing me to prioritize whether I'll fix the company website before or after picking up the dry cleaning. Check it out and see if it's a good fit for you. In conclusion, setting well-designed goals and priorities helps us be accountable to ourselves. If you have a SMART goal to accurately and politely answer all of your 27 emails from your colleagues before lunch at 12:30, you're going to have a much harder time procrastinating by checking Facebook, getting up for an extra cup of coffee, and so on.